welcome to the Divine Intervention Podcast. Today we're going to talk about being complacent and content and basically settling for things instead of trying to go for more in life. The number one thing I observe anyways, I see people who want to be better, who wants to have all the nice things and want to, I guess, have the nicer, the finer things in life, which is perfectly acceptable. I like that. I like that train of thought, and I like the ability of somebody saying, hey, I want that, I want to get that. But a lot of people don't want to do the work to get there, and they don't want to sacrifice to get there. What I mean by sacrificing is, in order to work for something and focus on something, you have to give up something else. A lot of people don't want to give up that something else. That something else might be going out with friends for a while, or not having a certain car, or just not going out for dinner. Those are just random examples I can come up with off the top of my head. But we see a lot of complacency, and it shouldn't be like that. But a lot of people just operate out of fear and not out of ambition. Like, a lot of people don't like to take risks, but at the same time, you have to take a risk just to go out the house every day. You have to take a risk when you say, hey, I want to work for these people. You have to take a risk when you say, hey, let's go on this trip, because you don't know what can happen on the trip. You take risk every day. So not taking the risk to make your life better, and honestly, like, making your life better is actually kind of a calculated risk, because you're factoring in a lot of things. You're doing somewhat of research or having somebody do research for you. And I just see a lot of complacency, and I think complacency is actually killing a lot of people's progress in life. I'm not a relationship show or whatever, but I will say in my personal life, complacency really kills it for me. I can't date a person that's complacent with where they're at in life and don't want more for themselves. Like, a person might say, hey, they'll be this type of person, but they see somebody else with something, and all of a sudden they want it. But you just said you're complacent. You're happy with where you're at. That doesn't make sense. Like, that's not it. So my thing is, in my personal experience, being complacent means you don't have the drive to do more and take on more. And being complacent means, hey, you don't want to take responsibility. Like, say, example, for a job, for example, you want to be able to build your career and build it based on, like, going from a lower level job to a higher level job. I've actually put my ex to the test. Got an interview for a nice job. I think it's like $200,000 job through connections I had. She didn't even do the interview because she was afraid of taking on the extra responsibility. And that right there to me was a red flag, because if you're not willing to take on the extra responsibility because you're complacent with where you're at in your work field, then you're gonna have that same attitude when it comes to raising children and taking on extra responsibility of the family, which that in itself is a lot more stressful than just a little old job. So that's just how it can correlate into life in general, in your personal life and relationships. But I'm not here to talk about relationships. So yeah, also it's just actually accumulation of success and building strength in your immediate society and your immediate family or whatever. You want to be able to be successful. You don't want to keep the curse, and being complacent is a curse. Saying, hey, you have to sit here for X amount of years and you gotta do this and retire. No, you don't do that. Like, no. I will say it. If you sit at a job for like 20 years or something like that, that just tells me you missed out on a whole lot of opportunity, a whole lot of money, because you were complacent with where you're at. And you'll get the people say, but I love what I do. I like what I do. I'm like, yeah, that's fine. You like what you do until you complain about, hey, I don't have enough for this. I don't have enough for this. And then you'll be like, maybe if I can get more money. Well, there you go. You're complacent. That's just it. So don't be too complacent and don't settle for less. Like, there's people who are willing to settle for less for no reason. Why settle when you can build yourself and be empowered? Like, get more. It doesn't mean you have to be a billionaire or millionaire or anything like that. You can get more spiritually, build yourself. However, like, as you want to, be more spiritual, then go for it. Like, attend like classes, or like take the time to do some research and like study the Bible and study Quran or whatever you believe in. Like, just study that and kind of keep it going. Like, you don't have to settle. You don't have to be anything that you don't want to be. And I think that's part of why I'm so passionate about folks just settling and not wanting to better themselves. This particular topic is actually fueled by somebody who kind of ticked me off, and they ticked me off by saying that you don't do nothing to empower people. You just sit there and why you always sit there and down our people, and that's kind of like not even true. I think the thing the person failed to understand that is, I don't broadcast everything I do. All the stuff I do for people is behind the scenes. And if I choose not to do stuff for people, it's not just because I say, hey, I don't want to help that person. It's because I know that person needs to work it out themselves and help themselves to get better. Because if you keep giving somebody the solution or the answer to the question, they will never do their homework and they'll never research to get out of it. They will just sit there and continue to just ask and ask and ask instead of work their way through it. Like, there is a plethora of resources and information we have out in the palm of our hands with these cell phones. Like, if you can use the cell phone to ask me for something, then by all means, you can use that same cell phone to do research to find answers to your questions. Like, for this podcast, I use my cell phone to find out how to set everything up and use resources that I had in my cell phone to help me. My friend Erica helped me out tremendously with setting up this whole thing. Like, I use my phone, I use my resources. Yeah, she told me what to do, and I went out there and did it. And I thank her for it. So it's just a lot of people don't understand. I keep this picture on my wall, and it's a picture of a lady, and it says inspire and empower. I keep it on my wall because it's kind of a message to say, hey, I actually do that. Like, I do empower women. Like, I empower women. I do empower men too. Don't get me wrong. But I empower women too. I've used my connections to try to help folks the best I can, especially with this job market thing. I think that's kind of my niche, just because I have a lot of resources that can help. I'm not going to put anybody out there, but just know that I'm proud of the people who I have helped, and they used me as a resource to be successful. Like, I've helped people with resumes to get jobs and stuff. I've put people in touch with recruiters to get better jobs and stuff. Like I told you earlier. Like, I reached out to a recruiter for my ex for a $200,000 job, and of course she fumbled it, but I had the resources to reach out there and, give her the opportunity to try to take on that responsibility and better herself. So it's just, it just sickens me or whatever to kind of think that, that folks actually want to be complacent, when being complacent is how you lose your power and lose your value in this society. You want to be able to be aggressive and be able to drive yourself to be better. Like, people don't understand that it takes dedication and it takes pushing yourself in order to get to where you want to be. It's like these people follow what they see on these social media things and these commercials or whatnot, and think, hey, if I just do this by, buying the clothes and going to the places and taking the pictures, that they'll be like that. And that's further from the truth. I will get to that on another episode. I have a separate podcast for that, a separate episode for that. But it's just, hey, you got to do the work, and you also got to make sure you keep pushing yourself and to be the best self you can be. Like the lady, I forgot the lady's name. She spoke about dating. She wouldn't date a bus driver, and my opinion about it is I respect her opinion. Like I really do. I saw where she's coming from her point of view, and that's just because she doesn't want somebody who's complacent. She wants somebody who's able to push themselves and be able to better themselves. Don't get me wrong, there's nothing wrong with dating a bus driver, but at the same time, if you want to push yourself and potentially like be better, then hey, you have to come up with some kind of plan. Hey, if he's using that as supplementary income for something else, and he has like several things going on, then hey, that's why I say there's nothing wrong, because there's always something behind the scenes, and you gotta look behind the scenes. But at the same time, some folks don't look behind the scenes, so that's where it kind of falls short for me. I agree with the lady, but at the same time, I would need more context, and that's just it. Like, I think the lady said if he owns the bus, then yeah. I would just say, hey, I would look at the person and just look at them all around. If they're clearly not trying to better themselves, then hey, they're really not for me. And a lot of people share these point of views, but at the same time, they don't understand how to articulate those point of views. And it is what it is. But just being complacent is not cool, and it's not what you want to do. Just try to grow yourself. Try to develop yourself. It doesn't matter what you do. You can wash dishes. You can clean floors or whatever. I know people who have janitorial service companies, and they're doing pretty well. So I say come up with that idea. Like, do something. Like you can do anything that you put your mind to. Use the tools in your hands to do your research. Like, stop researching on what celebrity did what, and research on how you can build yourself and how you can build your wealth. Because at the end of the day, all these roadblocks and studying other people is blocking your progress. You're blocking your own progress. The information is out there. The excuse of I'm not able to get the information, or we don't have those resources, that's a lie. It's not that anymore. This is not like the 1950s or anything like that. No, the resources right there in front of your hand. Like, it's there. If you can find out what the latest Beyonce song or the latest dance is, then you can help yourself. So you need to help yourself and get better. That's all I got for this podcast. Thank y'all for listening, and I'll see y'all next time. Thank you.